You know, we always hear about the broken window fallacy. Well, war is good because we get to build all this stuff back. It's great as an activity. Well, maybe they'll use that as a defense when they're brought up for charges before the judge. Yeah, it's look at all the wonderful things that we're going to do after we rebuild these cars and so forth. Well, we had Lindsey Graham was shown to be laughing about the fact that Trump is really good about blowing stuff up. Yeah, you know, after he started blowing stuff up in Venezuela, he got so drunk with power that he looked for the next conquest. And he's still looking for more. He wants to, even though he can't win this war against Iran, he's still looking for where he's going to go next, or maybe at the same time.
Virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down.
Yeah, this is at the very beginning.
Look what we've done here.
I know.
What a demon.
Cried.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how long have we been pushing this?
Yeah, for 30 years you've lied to people.
Right, it's here. I talked to Trump this morning. Oh, he's Jack.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I've ever done. He loves blowing stuff up. So, you know, there are a lot of people inside didn't want to do it. So I've had my challenges. But President Trump, when he gets into the zone, he listens.
Yeah, the zone.
Asks good questions. You know,
The war zone.
Tweeting. He has done he hadn't tweeted much at all. No drama. He's been a great wartime president. I said last night that Trump and Bibi are like Roosevelt and Churchill. I mean, they're the right two guys to confront.
Yeah, well, you know, watching him laugh and talking about killing people. And remember, he's good at blowing stuff up. What was the first thing they blew up? A school with kids in it, right? He's just cackling about that. What a satanic demon he is. You know, I remember when Karen was protesting the abortion clinic there in Austin. We carried it live on InfoWars. Several people showed up. They had signs that said, abortion is Planned Parenthood is black genocide, I think is what it said. Something about black genocide. And so it wasn't long before we had our first encounter, first time I ever came across Antifa in Austin. They showed up with black signs. They had nothing to say. I mean, what do you say when you are targeting a community for extinction? What do you say when you're murdering babies? Well, if you're Lindsey Graham, you just laugh it off and say, how long have we been working for this? This is great. I mean, this is just demonic to see him doing that. And as that was happening, Karen got some footage, which they played over and over again at InfoWars. Good footage. It's a woman who was there with Antifa, and she gets in Karen's face and she said, I kill my kids. Well, you know, it doesn't really matter, as we've talked about this before. It's like the Dr. Seuss thing, right? Does the size or the age of the child matter? Does it matter if it's an 8-month fetus, which is just a Latin for baby, before the baby is born? Is that wrong? Yes, it is. So why are Christians out there cheering the slaughter of 8-year-old Palestinians by these monsters? Lindsey Graham, Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump. It is monstrous what they're doing. Yeah, he really gets in the zone. He really loves that. And of course, you also have, as part of this film crew following him around, it's just the amazing ego and the seared conscience of people like Lindsey Graham. And of course, Roger Stone did the same thing too. He had a film crew following him around. They followed him around with the January the 6th stuff and Stop the Steal. They got him on tape saying, we're going to make so much money out of this, out of the scam that they're going to run, the Stop the Steal. It's going to be like falling off a log. It's going to be so easy. Well, here's Lindsey Graham talking to his chief demon, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Do you have it on speaker, Ryan?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. Connecting you now.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Bibi, Lindsey.
Hey, Bibi.
Hey, Lindsey. How are you?
I'm just so impressed. Glad to be your friend.
I'm glad you are my friend.
I'm going to meet with the president this week.
Send me some more money.
Going down to Doral. I'm going to try to get him to join with y'all in Lebanon. to maybe fly some with you. Would you like that?
Yeah, I get that. I think you have a point, but I've been thinking about the other side of it for a second. We're concentrating right now on Iran. If we tell Hezbollah that we're going all the way, we threaten them, but if we actually do it, then they have no reason not to go all the way against us. And right now, that's not our interest. We can do it later.
Well, I'll...
yeah, who are we going to kill next, and what's the timing going to be? We're going to kill everybody.
I'll put it out there as an idea. We can always go back to it.
Synagogue of Satan, right there. Now, who's next on our kill list? Got a long list of people to kill so he can take their land for the Greater Israel Project. Well, Netanyahu's coming to America. He said it's going to be his 8th meeting with Trump. Now, this is what he had to say.
Your show.
Well, and we want you back. But real quick before you go, Mr. Prime Minister, the anti-Semitism in the Democrat Party, are you worried about losing the Democrat Party? Does it pose a risk?
It's opposition to him and his political party. It's not anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I'm very concerned with that, obviously, because I think a bipartisan support for Israel is important, very important for us. But I'll tell you what I'm worried about most. I'm worried about the reasons that leading Democrats have said privately. One of them said it actually publicly, of why they joined the radical fringe. And the reason is that their family has been harassed, that they're afraid of being tailed everywhere and, being intimidated by this radical fringe. So I think that's really something that should
Who's radical?
be American. You don't want legislators taking their position because of personal intimidation. That's bad. Yes,
you want them taking the position because I pay them, right? That's the bottom line. Yeah, who is radical? Quite frankly, Netanyahu and his party are the most radical of the Zionists. They are the revisionist Zionist. They don't want to negotiate or talk to anybody. They just want to kill people. And we see that over and over again. Yeah, the U.S. is now the United States of Israel. They're working very hard to make that happen. And as all this is happening, Pentagon comes out with an update to the Iran war casualties, as I said before. How can we trust them on any casualty numbers? We can't trust them on anything. They lie to us about everything. And we can see as they're lying, it's like Baghdad Bob. Remember that? Remember the Iraq War? We had the spokesperson for the Saddam Hussein regime talking about how they're having one massive victory after another, and you could see what was happening. Even at one point, he's giving a press conference, and there's an American tank parked really within sight. And he's telling everybody they've defeated the Americans and they're in retreat and all the rest. And there's a tank sitting right there. This is the absurd level that the Trump regime has sunk to with Trump and with War Pete. It's sunk to Baghdad Bob levels. And I think there was some reporters with the guys in the tank, the American soldiers, that said, should we go over there to him? Yes, you should have. But the question is, why are they getting such a massive opposition in America? Is it because of people threatening them? Or maybe Netanyahu, maybe it's what you're doing to people that people see.
Races has been Israel, how supportive Democratic candidates want to be of Israel and U.S. aid to Israel. Over the summer, it's been largely seen as a Democratic issue, but it might not just be a party thing. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. When we're talking about Israel's favorability in the United States, in general, there's some big changes.
There are some absolutely huge, mammoth changes, generational changes that we're talking about. I think there are a lot of Republicans, we'll be able to run against these anti-Israeli Democrats once we hit the general election because the general electorate feels very differently from the Democratic base. But the general electorate, look at these numbers on Israel, the net favorability. They're all negative. They're all negative. Ipsos, minus 10 points. Fox, minus 11 points. Marquette University Law School Law poll. Look at that, minus 20 points. Pew Research Center, minus 23 points. Negative, 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 negative. And Gallup earlier this year was also negative. We're not just talking about the Democratic base anymore. We're talking about the general electorate as well. The general electorate has turned against Israel. This is not just a left issue. It is an American issue when it comes to to opinions on Israel.
What's the trend line here?
What's the trend line here? The trend line is unbelievable. Look at the trend line here. Compare this to Donald Trump's first term. At this point in Donald Trump's first terms, Israel's average net favorability.
Wow.
You go back here. Look at this. It was plus 51 points. Wow, Johnny says. Wow, Johnny says, because this is wow. Plus 51. It's minus 16 points in the average poll now. That is what, a 67-point shift against Israel in just 8 years. Israel used to be a consensus issue in American politics, and that was a pro-Israeli position. Now the consensus has actually shifted, and now when it comes to general electorate, it is a minus. Israel is now seen negatively, and we're seeing it in poll after poll after poll.
It's because reality has caught up to narrative and overtaken it. Yeah, 67-point swing in general is not just the Democrat Party. It's everybody seeing exactly what is happening with this. And when we look at what's going on with the Pentagon, as I said before, we can't audit them financially. We know that there are trillions of dollars that are missing out of the Pentagon. They were at 9/11 at that point in time. And we can't audit any of that. As I've said before on this program, I had an amazing encounter with a woman who was retired from the military. And they had a little gift shop that they were running down in Texas. And let's see, Wilmington. What was the name of that place? Not Wilmington. Do you remember what that was, Travis? Anyway, this small town that was
Wimberley.
What's that?
Wimberley.
Wimberley. Thank you. Yeah. Reverting back to North Carolina. Anyway, down at Wimberley, and had a little gift shop down there. And so nobody was, it's a lot of Christmas stuff. And Karen was roaming around looking at it. And I wasn't interested. So I was just standing there. And she starts telling me about her life, just monologuing, Well, yeah, my husband and I opened this up when we got out of the military. We were retired. And I'm lucky to have gotten out when I did, because it was only about a month before we got hit at 9/11 with the plane. I said, oh, really? What were you doing? Well, we were auditing. And she said, we had found trillions of dollars that had gone missing. And she said, there were so many people in the military and politicians who are retiring because of what we found. See, that's the way they handle it. They don't prosecute anybody. They come to them quietly behind the scenes and say, all right, we know that you stole all this stuff, so just go your own way. We won't make a big issue out of it, because we want people to trust our institutions, don't we? Don't want to violate that trust. I mean, if we have a big scandal here, people might call into question all the money that we're giving to the Pentagon. So, yeah, just quietly go your way and you'll be fine. She said, yeah, we were doing great. We were really ramping this thing up. And she said, but my husband got out and he was leaving, and we didn't want to separate. So I retired, and it's a good thing I did, because it was about a month later that these missiles come, not missiles. She doesn't know it's missiles. She thinks it's a plane. We were hit with this thing, and everybody that I was working with got killed. And I asked her, I said, where do you get your news? She said, well, Fox. Same place that'll tell you that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel are our greatest allies. They'll also cover up for what happened on 9/11. They'll never talk about the dancing Israelis either, or the fact that it was a missile and not a plane. No, you won't have any of that at Fox News. Again, as Tucker Carlson said, if you talk about Building 7 that just fell down its own footprint, he said, you'll get fired if you talk about that. We know you couldn't talk about that. Well, he talked about it. He brought in people who are experts just to ridicule them, just to sandbag them and say, no, I'm not going to show the video of the building falling in free fall. I'm not going to show that. It's just, I will never trust Tucker. Not until he fesses up a little bit more about all this stuff. Anyway, we're back to the point where they don't count the money, do they? We can't audit the money. If you do, you might get killed, right? And so what do we do in terms of casualties when you look at these wars, when we don't have an objective, when we don't have a reason, when it is an unjust war of aggression? We're not trying to stop somebody who has attacked us. That's a justified war. If somebody attacks you, you have justification to fight them in order to stop the war, in order to stop the killing. And in a just war, you're not going to target civilians either. You're going to go after military installations, which we've done exactly the opposite. Iran targeted military installations, and that's not only a moral thing to do, It's a strategic thing to do. Robert Pape has written a book called Bombing to Win. He says if you bomb civilian populations, you lose. Because what you do is you energize their will to fight you, and you've also not affected their military. So he said an effective campaign, if you want to win a war, is to go after military installations, not after civilians. But we're doing exactly the opposite. What do we do? Well, in terms of not having a goal, not having a just cause, not having a cause at all, except we were told to do this by Israel because of their greater Israel project. They want land, they want to expand, and so we have to kill people to clear the land off for them. So what do you do in a war like that? We've had one war after the other that are like that. They keep score. They keep score by counting the number of bombs and bodies. And so it's important for us to minimize the count of bodies and to maximize the number of bombs that we've dropped, because that's supposedly winning. No, that's just scorekeeping. It's not winning. We've lost one war after the other with that kind of an attitude. The common man. They created Common Core to dumb down our children. They created Common Pass to track and control us. Their Commons Project to make sure the commoners own nothing. And the communist future. They see the common man as simple, unsophisticated, ordinary. But each of us has worth and dignity created in the image of God. That is what we have in common. That is what they want to take away. Their most powerful weapons are isolation, deception, intimidation. They desire to know everything about us while they hide everything from us. It's time to turn that around and expose what they want to hide. Please share the information and links you'll find at davidknightshow.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. If you can't support us financially, please keep us in your prayers. davidknightshow.com.